industry, like, maybe you like to call it. It's not really pure.
It's like you can't hide anymore. Train, come back like you used to do. Just go away.
It would be hard to be the shadow now.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of got to be visible to be successful. When I did it, you only have to get in the magazines, and in order to get in the magazines, you have to win contests. So, you know,
you have a contract as well with the IFBB where they pay you a monthly. They don't do that.
With the Weeder company.
Million likes and that's it.
Not with the federation.
With the Weeder company.
Weeder company, which is now, I don't know, they sold it, and who owns it and what it is, I don't know anymore. But yeah, we used to have a contract with the Weeder company and the Weeder magazines to be exclusive to those magazines. So there was only one route to make money from bodybuilding. Now there's, you know, people making a lot of money online, they never even compete, right?
Yeah.
They're not going down that route.
If you've got big following.
It's different, you know, whether you think it's better or worse, I don't know, it's different, you know. Times change, nothing stays the same in any industry or any sport or anything in life, it changes, so, you know.
Yeah, true.
It's different now. So, you know, maybe people now can make money and then they're not competing, so maybe that's a good thing. You can compete or you don't compete. There's various ways to go about it.
Yeah, I think there's people who don't have to work as hard, which is not necessary.
I don't see people working too hard.
No, I knew you were going to say that.
Kind of a different culture, a different mentality. It's more about the look than the actual substance, you know, the work.
It seems people sometimes now pushing a lot more and depending more on drugs than the actual work ethic behind it.
Probably, I mean, I can't really say because I don't know exactly what people are doing, but I do get that impression, yeah. And the thing with the steroids and everything was more like, it was a bit of an inner circle thing that people that competed did, and outside of that it wasn't really, people didn't really do it, didn't really know about it. It was like in the little gym, you know, subculture. Now it's everybody who goes in the gym, they like want to take some steroids because I just want to get from here to there quicker. I don't give a shit, you know.
Yeah, there's no foundation.
You know, I think I see it as like, you know, everything is just a reflection of society, isn't it? And everybody wants something quick and easy these days. That's just the way that things are projected to you, especially with the social media and projecting unrealistic things all the time. You know, everybody lives a perfect life and they've got a mansion and a Ferrari, but probably they don't, you know?
Nah, yeah, so true. Everyone wants a quick fix pill.
So, you know,
it's true.
Ladies now, they have a lot of cosmetic things, right? They have the breast implants, they have now the ass implants, which should be illegal. They should not allow that. They got the Botox, they got all, you know, what I'm saying is women have cosmetic procedures to get the look that they want quicker, right? So I think guys are just thinking the same way, but we'll take juice to get the abs, to get the look. It's a quicker, you know, it's just the same thing, right? It's a quick fix, cosmetic fix.
See, I don't know if there's more, or you would probably know a lot more than me, but there seems to be a lot of diuretics now, especially with the female side. That seems to be causing more health problems.
Well, there was always health problems, and always people dying prematurely, but now it's got more and more. And now the women are dying, where before that it didn't happen, because they were not pushing, you know, the chemical envelope, if you like, they weren't pushing it that much. But now they are, and then you've got coaches that they don't particularly care about the health of their clients, they just want to get them to win. Because that will be on their CV then, that they trained this person that won, and I think that's...
Did you ever experience with diuretics? Or?
Yeah, I used diuretics, but only very mild. I used Aldactone a couple of days before the show. Didn't really need to. In '96 they had diuretic testing, so NASA got
was that the year
disqualified.
Sean Ray got disqualified for winning the Arnold. Was that year?
Sean Ray got disqualified 1 year for getting caught with Winstrol.
Okay, yeah.
Because they tested steroids that year. I think it was 1990. But 1996, because there was a couple of deaths with diuretics. You know, steroids are not good for you. No, maybe they kill you in 20, 30 years, but diuretic can kill you instantly today, like if you mess it up, because they mess up your electrolytes with the heartbeat and everything. So it's not something you really want to play around with. No. So yeah, I won 6 Mystery Olympias and hardly did any diuretics. So you don't need to do it. No. It's just shortcut. If you haven't got things in shape, it's like the last minute desperation. I think if you're doing that, it's not necessary.
No, definitely. Especially in that peak week when you should already be in shape and it's just minor.
You should be in shape a few weeks out, and then you just cruising in and like, oh, I need to use 5 pounds this week. No, you should be like already pretty much there.
Yeah, totally. Anyone else talking?
Any more questions?
Yeah, well, we're here and it's pretty quiet. I'm not signing any autographs. If anyone's got any questions, you feel free. No problem.
Yeah, I didn't want to be rude. Record while I'm talking.
Go ahead if you want. I don't care.
Any more questions? Questions?
I got one.
Go for it.
When you tore your bicep,
Yeah.
you still competed in Mr. Olympia. What made you think, okay, I can still win this and I can still go and compete in Mr. Olympia?
Well, that was the process. I mean, I just won. I won 2 Mr. Olympias and 93. What I set the bar like, you know, way ahead. So everybody involved in the sport saying this guy is going to be unbeatable for many years to come because, you know, it's surpassed what everyone's achieved before. And then 6 weeks out from the 94 Olympia, I'm making a mistake, which now I acknowledge, and I try to pass on to other people. When you're in super lean shape and you're getting ready for a contest, it doesn't make sense to train super heavy the last 6 to 8 weeks because you're losing body fat, you're more tired, you're doing cardio, you're drier, you know, you may be slightly dehydrated. All these things makes you more vulnerable to injury, so you should be backing off a little bit. And you know, not training with light weights or anything, but not pushing to the point of failure with heavy weights is not necessary at that point in the off season, yeah, but at that point, no. So yeah, I was training too heavy. I was doing bent over rows with 440 pounds, and I think with the 4th or 5th rep I just felt the bicep go, and I knew, you know, you just know, you hear it, you feel it, you know something major's gone. So yeah, I had 24 hours of thinking my career was over and that's it, I'm finished now. Like, I was the best in the world ever probably in 93, and now I'm finished. I tore my bicep. And then I started thinking, well, if I drop out now, it's all over, it's finished, right? But why don't you see what you can do? You know, work around it, see what you can do, stay on the diet, and see if that's going to be good enough. You can. If you feel like it's not good enough, you can drop out a week before or 3 days before or whatever, you know.
Do you still think you're going to win though? Because that's probably the most competitive era, given your opinion.
Yeah, so yeah, I you know, managed the injury. It turned out it didn't really restrict my training too much. I just had to change my grip on some back exercises so they were parallel rather than underhand. So I was able to train pretty well, but obviously it's a big trauma for the body, and whenever your body gets trauma, it tends to hold a little bit of water. So, and you know, the mental stress as well of having a major injury and going to a contest. So stress can make you hold water. I mean, if you're not in super ripped shape, you wouldn't notice from one day to the next. But if you're super ripped and you have no body fat, and you get stressed and you hold water, you can see it within, you know, immediately within an hour. So. I think the prejudging at the 94 was definitely holding a bit of water, but by the evening I'd sweated it out and it looked much better. So, did I consider the fact that somebody could beat me? No, I didn't think about that. I was going there to win regardless.
Never a plan B.
No, I didn't think. And the guy that would possibly be a threat if he was in really good shape was Flex Wheeler, and he had a car accident that year himself, so he wasn't able to compete. So, you know, Sean was the main competitor, and
I think you outworked Flex, didn't you? Because they said he was the symmetry, the genetics, but
yeah,
I think he was outworked.
No, it's a bit like Flex was very gifted, and sometimes when things come very easy, you don't really appreciate them. And if he got there giving 70 or 80%, that becomes a habit. Then why is he going to step up and do 90 or 100? And you know, it was also the mental fortitude that I observed very early on that he didn't have. He's quite an emotional guy, and he could feel emotional today and break his diet or something where I knew I'd never do that. So it kind of gave me an edge over him always.
Where do you see the future of men's open going as compared to now the very popular classic division?
Seems to be classics taking over.
Where do you think that's going to be in another 10,
It will sound very strange because everyone's Dorian Yates is the first mass monster, and he's the guy that pushed the envelope and brought all this size. That's true, but in those days we were also really focused on coming in crazy condition, and that's not easy. You really got to suffer and starve, and you know you can see the face. It's like the guys you can see they're in shape.
Notorious for those deep grooves.
Yeah, because you're
When you
losing
were
body. You
cutting.
lose your body fat even on your
Yeah,
face when you
yeah.
get into proper shape.
Yeah.
Now the guys are going with moon faces. I'm in shape.
That's all the
No, you're not.
stuff there.
I can tell before you take your tracksuit off you're not in shape. So maybe it sounds strange coming from me because I'm that guy, the mass monster. But I would actually rather watch the classic one now because at least they're in shape. The open class are just big, round, and bloated. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not impressed at all.
Yeah.
What do you think of Nick Walker? He's young and the situation.
Young, got a lot of muscle mass, seems very dedicated and smart.
Midsection big.
Doesn't have a great structure.
No, yeah.
And structure is like you're born with that, so he's nothing can do about that. So yeah, he's very good, very young. But Mr. Olympia, I don't think so.
No.
No.
Which of your Mr. O's was your most difficult or favourite, would you say?
Most difficult was the last one because I tore my tricep tendon 3 weeks before, and I think pretty much anyone else would have not done the contest because I couldn't even train. It was a really almost a total rupture of the tendon, and even to practice my posing I couldn't do that because I was scared. Just even tensing like was something, you know, it was hanging on by literally a little thread, so if that broke then it would totally detach and it would roll up your arm and there's no way to compete then. So again I went through that whole thing of like, alright, it's over, I can't compete, and I'm like, you've been here before mate with that injury before and you got over that, so let's try and get over this. Well, it was worse because it was a worse injury, nearer to the contest, 3 weeks out rather than 6 weeks out, and I mean my whole arm was black and blue and swollen, so it looked to be impossible. But I said, okay, I'm just going to carry on doing my cardio, carry on my diet, get therapy on my injury, try to get the swelling down, try to do whatever I can do. And again, if it's not good enough, a couple of days before I can say, look, I did everything I could do and it's not good enough. But if I had given up at that point 3 weeks out, I would have never been in that contest. So I went into the contest. Obviously it's not ideal going to Mr. Olympia, competing against the best in the world who can't even train. I'm even nervous to pose. And when you're on stage as well, it can get a bit physical. You can bump into people, you can clash at elbow, and I was like kind of, so it wasn't my usual like self, a little bit, you know. I wasn't as confident as normal because of all that. So that was the hardest one to get through, definitely. I mean, I was in pain as well. I was on painkillers, anti-inflammatories and everything just to get through it.
And your favourite one?
Favourite one was 93 because it was like total destruction and setting a new standard for bodybuilding, and like they didn't even call me out for a call out, which is, I don't think they would have done that. It was like, okay, stand to the side. Right, who's second? That was it. It was literally like that. As soon as I walked out, like,
I thought you were going to say 94.
So they asked me in the magazines, you know, like, what did you think when they didn't call you out? I said, well, I was either last or first. Oh no, I wasn't last, so I was laughing, you know, it was job done.
Your style of training is unique from most bodybuilders. Where did you adopt that? Like, who did you look up to? Most bodybuilders have somebody they idolize and they adopt
I
that
looked
style
up
of
to
training.
Mike Mensa,
Okay.
who was an advocate of HIT training, and he got that from Arthur Jones, who invented the Nautilus machines. And Arthur Jones was like an eccentric billionaire who had no vested interest in bodybuilding, no financial interest. He was just like fascinated with bodybuilding and muscle building and what was the best way to train and what was happening, what was causing muscle growth, why, blah blah blah. So he did all the science on it and did the Nautilus machines, and he's the one that said the key to muscle growth is the intensity of exercise. That's the key, that's the signal, that's the things that initiate it. You have to train beyond what you've ever done before. So if you're, I don't know, I think if I had another gym, my dream would be to ban phones, but then I'd have no customers. So
I come to that gym.
yeah, you should. Listen, you got that thing all day, right, with you. Put it in a locker or something.
Yeah.
Give your brain a rest. You're here to train. You're here. And training is a form of meditation. You like forget the rest of the world.
I think
Give your brain a rest. Go into the muscle. My bicep. I'm stretching. I'm contracting. This is a meditation. Yeah.
That's what differentiates the serious people from the social media crowd that are just keen on putting up another
everybody
video
wants to film
on
everything and
Instagram.
show everybody what they're doing. How about
Yeah.
you just do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Each of them instead of taking a picture of it. You know. Same thing with the training. Well, okay, you know, it's a different world. Maybe when you finish, you film a little something, but I just think it's distracting. Anything that distracts you is not good. You should be fully focused on what you're doing.
100%.
I remember you saying Tom Platz was a big inspiration as well.
Tom Platz, KCBA Tour, guys that trained really hard, really heavy, pushed that physical limit, and that, they also had like powerful look. You know, Mensa and VA Tour, they had big forearms, big calves. So they were like mesomorphic, which was my kind of build. You know, I was not a Frank Zane, and I didn't want to be, or never would be, but I didn't want to be either. I wanted to build muscle, but I wanted to be strong and look powerful as well at the same time. And some things about my physique, anyone that's seen me on stage, it doesn't translate in pictures. It doesn't translate in video, especially because of the quality of the, like from the 90s, not that good anyway. But my physique had a density to it, density to the muscles from this heavy training that I did continuously, so that I would stand next to somebody and on their own they would look amazing, but when I stand next to them they'd look kind of soft and a bit weak because their muscles were big and full, but they didn't have that rock hard density.
Yeah.
So when I stood next to them, it just overpowered them.
Yeah, my friend.
And sometimes that's something you can't quite see it in the photos.
Yeah, my friend said a long time ago he's seen you in your prime at a seminar in your flesh. And he said pictures do not do justice what you really look like. It was
because the picture's a flat, one-dimensional image. My physique was had depth like that, and much more than everyone else. So when I stood next to them, they looked kind of a bit flat and a bit narrow.
Said the same with Ronnie as well. He didn't look night and day to what he looked like in the flesh.
Well, he improved a lot. Like after I stepped down, basically, he stepped up a lot, and you know, took it to another level with the size.
What did you think about Ronnie and his?
I thought it was great. Towards the end, not so good because his injuries obviously affecting his symmetry a little bit. I could see, and it was getting too big around the waist. But some years looked like really impressive. Yeah, I think 2001.
98, 99 was a good.
Yeah,
Still had that stream.
yeah, it looked good then.
What's your views on female bodybuilding? I think personally a lot of them have lost their femininity now as a result of using too many compounds, etc.
I would agree absolutely with that. I mean, you know, it depends how you look at it. If you look at it like as another athlete, yeah, I've got to respect what they do because they train just as hard as the guys, right?
100%, yeah.
But if you're going to take a certain level of hormones, I'm starting to think, are you male or female now? Yeah, because you've got the female organs, but you've got the male hormone level. And some of the girls are looking as big as the guy of a similar height. It's exactly the same. So I don't like it. I don't find it appealing at all. I think the last Miss Olympia that I thought was okay, that's about as far as it can go with it without it looking really not good. And it's just a personal opinion. Was Linda Murray. She was Miss Olympia when I was Mr. Olympia in the 90s, and she was very muscular but still athletic looking, and that's about as far as it should have gone in my opinion. But nothing stands still. People are always going to go forward and push the barriers. But Miss Olympia used to be a standalone event. They used to put Miss Olympia on alone and they would sell out the tickets and go, but as the girls got bigger and bigger, the ticket sales went down and down and down. You couldn't sell it because nobody's interested anymore. It's too extreme.
Do you have a preference to which division? You've got wellness now, the new category. What do you think? The wellness division.
Well, wellness comes from Brazil.
Yeah.
And my wife comes from Brazil, and Brazil was all about legs and ass, and I'm a legs ass man.
Yeah.
You know, very chauvinistic of me, but I like the wellness class because they look like women to me.
Yeah, they've got
curves,
this,
you know.
the femininity there.
So, you know, as I say, as sports people, I respect everybody that does it, but just asking, hey Dorian, what do you like to look at? I'm not interested in any of them. Maybe the wellness class looks good. Yeah, so.
I respect that.
You know, I like women that just go to the gym and they're in shape without getting too extreme.
Yeah.
You've mentioned Plats and Mensa as sort of your idols and people you looked up to, but who would you say you've just looked at and just thought, that's just an amazing bodybuilder? Not necessarily idols.
My mirror.
Absolutely.
I know in the past or now, you just look at them and just
Ronnie, I was the only guy I've ever looked at and said, shit. Yeah. And Flex Wheeler, I looked at him and said, without sounding a bit gay, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful physique. He's got joints like a little girl, yeah, and then huge muscle bellies, and it just looks cartoon-like. So, and a little waist, and his knees is like smaller than my daughter's. Like his knees are like that, and then the quads. So he's got a very small frame, and very big muscle bellies all over the frame, apart from his calves, which weren't so good. But yeah, so you look at it and it's impressive, but not in a different way to Ronnie. Ronnie was impressive, like shit. Look at the size. Flex was like, wow, that's like looks like a statue.
Looks like a classic.
Would you say anyone from the last 10 years?
Nah.
No, not like a 2011 Phil Heath or anything.
Phil Heath, I like. He's got no weak points muscularly. He's got you know, no weak points on his body apart from his structure, which I didn't like. Is quite narrow in the shoulders, and then it makes the pecs looks bunched up and that. But of course, a great bodybuilder, Mr. Olympia. But I didn't look at him and say, wow. It's like, yeah, he looks great, but it didn't wow me, you know, because he's not a huge guy. Again, and is a bit narrow in the frame, so but yeah, definitely one of the greats.
The way Mike trained and you trained like similar was like focusing on isometric holds and your like eccentric motion and all of that. Do you think that's a lost trade now compared to like, because like we're going backwards in terms of how we train and not as smart as we used to?
All I see now is that no real advance in the real knowledge and science of training. Just some guy doing a crazy exercise upside down with a cable, or just trying to reinvent the wheel. The wheel is round and it rolls, like, you know, work with the wheel. Because everybody's trying to get some attention on the social media. So do something crazy, do something stupid, like just because it's different. And the coaches also are to blame for this. Yeah, if you train with me, you'll do the same bloody workout pretty much all the time until you get a bit burnt out, and then I say, okay, we'll train lighter for a little bit. But legs, you can do leg extension, you can do leg press or squat and hack squats. What else is there? Some lunges or some silly exercise off a bench, or it's just, you're just doing it to get attention, not because it works, yeah? The basics work. And hard work works. Well, that's not like it's not like all pretty and silly, is it? You know.
Do you think it helped you that you didn't have that because you used to like train in the dungeon and no one saw you, rather than like the days when everything's posted, every workout's posted?
Yeah, there's almost, you know, it's good. Information is good. Knowledge is power, but you can have too much information as well, and a lot of it is just useless. But there's a lot of it out there, and I read it on the internet. You've got to do this and that. Well, jog on then, go and do it. Well, you know, I'm 6 times Mr. Olympia. I probably know something. But I read on the internet this, and I saw this guy said that. Okay, you know, because everybody's trying to get that bit of attention, that bit of space. Yeah. So how do you do that? Be different. Yeah. Or, you know, so it's all about the hard work, and that's not pretty. That's not sellable. Like, you know, that's what it's all about. Yeah. You can do this exercise, or you can do this exercise, or this exercise, but none of them are going to be any good unless you push to the point where you're in real discomfort, and then your body will react.
I was also going to ask you, like, because you mentioned that when Platch trained, Mike Mensa trained, and you as well, you mentioned like you have longer days off.
Yeah.
Nowadays everyone trains like 6 days a week, 7 days a week, but you guys probably train 4 days a week.
Yeah, because you can't train 6 or 7 days a week. You can be in the gym 6 or 7 days a week, but you're not training. There's nobody on this planet that could train with me 7 days a week, because at the end of that week they will be ill. They'll literally be ill because there'll be too much stress that they're not recovering from. By the end of the week it'll accumulate. So you train, you overload your body, you damage your body. That's what you're doing in the gym. Then your body's got to recover from all this stress. When it's recovered, then it can overcompensate and build and grow. So you got to recover first is the process. If you haven't fully recovered from that workout, you're not going to grow. But the point is, if that workout wasn't intense enough, you haven't stimulated anything anyway. So yes, you can go in the gym every day and train moderately, but that moderate training is not really stimulating anything. I've got this theory that I'm observing people in the gyms. Of course, you've never trained before, so if you do 10 push-ups, that's something. You've never done it before, so you'll get some reaction from that, yeah? And then you do 15, you do 20, you get a bit of reaction until that's not really stressful for your body, and so on and so on. So everybody gets some reaction at first, even if their training is ineffective, they will react, they will grow for a year and a half, and then plateau, and you go over to the gym 5 years later, they're doing the same thing and they look exactly the same. So if you're doing some training, and whatever you're doing, you do it for a month. Take your weight, take your picture, take your training poundages, okay, make a record, do whatever you're doing for a month, and have a look. If there's no change after a month, do you think it's going to magically start changing next month, or the month after, or the month after that, the month after that? No. Doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome is definition of insanity according to Einstein. So if you're doing something for a month and it's not working, then you probably need to rethink things, whether it be your training, your diet, or something else.
But yeah, you see 90%, exactly what you said, you see 90% of people now that never push the boundary when they're in the gym.
They're spinning their wheels, they finish a set, they do a sloppy set, don't really control the weights, and then they put it down and they've got 2 or 3 more left in the bag. And it's those 2 or 3 that's the key, yeah? I say everything's bullshit. Everything is bullshit until those last 2 reps. Your first warm-up set, your second warm-up set, yeah, they're important because they're warming you up, they're getting the blood in the muscle, they're preparing your body, preparing your nervous system for that last set. And that last set is also bullshit. If you put the weight down, you've got 2 more left. Why is the body going to respond? Body wants to always keep the status quo, wants to keep balance. So why would it want to put on more muscle? Because you're giving it an emergency situation, putting so much stress on it that it's like, how do I handle this stress in the future? Oh, I'll build a little bit more muscle. So the next time that stress won't be so stressful. But next time you go and you put more on. And that's the basic process. Yeah. Well, of course you can't build like linearly like this forever. The more advanced you get, the less your gains are going to be, slower they're going to be. And this method of training you can use for about 5 or 6 weeks, and then you need to do a lighter training phase, like cycling it, because you'll burn out otherwise. You can't do it all the time.
You know, you used to max, sometimes you train at least 4 days a week?
Yeah.
You know, your rest days, were they always the same, or would you have 3 in a row, or switch it up?
I've never done more than 2 days in a row.
And then have
a day off.
Okay.
And normally after legs I would have 2 days off, because it's so stressful on your whole system, your nervous system, endocrine system. You're working the biggest muscles in your body. It's a lot of stress. And also you're the one that's inside your body, yeah? You can relay how you're feeling to a coach, but you're the only one that's feeling it, yeah? So you need to be in touch with that and say, oh, you know what, I did legs, had a day off, and I'm scheduled to do chest or whatever I'm doing, but I still feel tired. Take the day off. Your body's telling you need to take the day off. You're going to go and train. Your body, you're not really recovered, so it's not time to train yet. So you can have a program, but within that you need to be a little bit flexible, because maybe you didn't sleep so good last night. Maybe you had a long day at work. Maybe you had a fight with your wife, or whatever. Stress, bills, emotional stress. It all takes an effect, you know. So you've got to listen to your body. And if you need to take, I would rather somebody take a day off than go in the gym and they're not ready, or they're going to do a shitty workout. Stay at home, eat, relax, rest, go back the next day and kill it, you know.
Dorian, on that subject, can I ask, how did you manage your mental well-being when you, for example, if you can't train a day, it can be stressful for a bodybuilder, I can imagine, because you think,
it depends on your perspective. If you realise you're taking that day off for a reason, to help your progress, then why is it stressful? You need to understand the process. Stimulate. How do we stimulate? Push past previous levels. Recovery. You need time to recover. After you recovered, overcompensate. So if you're physical, you've got to be able to differentiate. Am I genuinely needing another day off because I physically need it, or am I just being lazy and unmotivated? You need to know the difference between that. Yeah?
So is the
With me, it wasn't difficult because I was like, you got to try and hold me back. Yeah, I want to go, but I'm also knowing the process. So if I'm feeling, I would call up my training partner and say, you know what, mate, we're taking a day off today. I don't feel ready. I'll be in tomorrow. And every time I did that was, you know, an amazing workout because I took that extra day off. So every 5 or 6 weeks you should go through maybe a 2 weeks lighter training period, and sometimes it's good to take a week off as well.
That's like cool. Like
I used to have people in the gym saying to me like, you know, I'm plateaued, I can't, I feel tired, I can't, and blah blah blah. I say, take a week off. What do you mean? Take a week off? Trust me, take a week off. All right. Take a week off. Guy comes back next week. I can't believe it, I'm stronger, I'm much stronger. I said, no shit, mate, because you were overtrained, your body needed the rest, you give it the rest, and you come back and you're stronger. So don't, you know, stop beating yourself up about it. If you need time off, you need time off.
Would you push more calories on your rest days for recovery, or didn't?
No, because I was all, like, if I was in a, you know, calorie excess anyway, if I was in the off season, I would always be eating more than I needed a little bit, you know, a few hundred calories. So not necessarily to take more on your day off, because you're burning less on your day off anyway. So if anything, it would take a little bit less on your day off.
Dorian, what's your top 5 leg compound moves, or any for bigger legs? Like your legs were huge. Give me top 5 or top 3.
Well, obviously the number one comes to mind is squat, yeah? This is a basic natural movement. What depends on the structure of the person. Some people that have long legs, or they're a bit taller than average, they have what they do when they squat, they get a lot of stress on their back, and it's not really going to the legs. I had an injury on my hip. I'd only been training for about 2 years, I think, and you know, heavy squats were the thing when I started. Like, if you're going on a leg press, everyone used to laugh at you, because Tom Platz was the man, and he said you got to squat to get big legs, and his legs were like something from another planet. Nobody had seen it before. So in the gyms, like when I started, if you didn't squat, you was not even a real man. Like, what's wrong with you if you don't squat? Now it's a bit different. I injured myself squatting, and then I was kind of forced to try something else for a while because squatting was bothering my hip. So, all right, everybody says you can't get legs without squats, but I'm going to have to see about that because I've got an injury, so I've got to work around it. So I started doing leg press, squats on a Smith machine where I could get my body upright so I wasn't leaning forward, and hack squats, and I'm happy I did that, because I think now, if I'd have done squats my whole career, I think now I would have some more problems with my back, definitely. Everyone that squats heavy for many years, they have some back issues, and so I'm glad I don't have that. I have shoulder issues, but not back issues.
No knee issues?
No, fortunately. My left knee's a bit worn, so if I do jumping or running, it'll start to get a bit irritated, but I don't like running and jumping, so I'm fine, you know. But compound exercise, leg press, hack squat, Smith machine squat, free squat, those are the ones. Lunges, silly stuff. Silly stuff.
I have a question on your live.
Girls like them, yeah, they look good.
A question on the live.
How much would I go over surplus, over my calories? If I could figure out my maintenance, I'd go probably 300 or 400 calories. Don't need a lot of excess calories. And the same, if you want to lose weight, you don't make big swings one way or the other. You go drop 300 or 400 calories just to start a weight loss process, and the same if you want to gain weight. Don't, you know, go from pigging out and eating a load of shit to like starving yourself. Two extremes. Make small changes.
How much time would you take off after the Olympia? You take, like, some people take 4 weeks, or?
Nah. Someone asked me this question before, so my response to them was, how long do you take off sex? The point being, I like to train, so why would I stop training? You know? So I'd probably take a week off or something. I used to go on family holidays, and you know, it was unnecessary really, but it was just the way I had to be. even on family holiday, I'd find the gym and I'd be going to the gym. You know.
Do you think it, being so driven and you would just focus on one thing, do you think it affected your family life? Being married so young?
Yeah, of course it does, yeah. I mean, I was married and my wife was very supportive, but family loses time with you. But more than time, it loses focus. Because wherever I wasn't really there. I was in my head, you know. A bit of a family thing, but I'm in my head thinking, I'm doing this tomorrow. I've got this many calories today.
Same.
So you're there, but you're not really present, you know. So, you know, there's things that I would probably be doing, like, most of the times, like to go to the school meetings or something for my son, my wife would normally go without me because I was, nah, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to rest, I've got to do this. So, you know, I could have been a bit more flexible, but I didn't know. Like, for me, there's a 0 and there's 100. I'm one or the other, so I was 100 all the time. And, you know, it worked out for me. That's what got me.
I think you need that mentality personally.
Absolutely. You know, like anyone that's the best in the world at something, anyone that's extremely, like, outstanding, they're not right in the head.
No.
They're not normal. You know, you've got to be really, like, obsessed with it, really, obsessed. I was inspired by people that are outside of bodybuilding, like Bruce Lee. He was obsessed with the martial arts and what's the best way to train and this and that. And heard this story from Dan Inosanto, who was like one of his top student trainers. He said, so Bruce Lee had this wooden man, you know the wooden man, it's like that, with all the things coming out. So he was practicing a move on there, he said, and he was sweating and he was doing it for about an hour, this one move. And he said to him, that you got that down? And I said, no, I haven't. And went back to it. He said, I went out, I did my chores, I come back. Another 2 hours later, the guy's still there. There's a pool of sweat there. And he still did bam, 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 bam. And then he's like, stopped and he went, now I got it. You know? Jimi Hendrix used to take his guitar in the bathroom when he took a shit. It's like a piece of him. It's a piece of him. That guitar was an extension of him. So people like that I used to read about, they used to inspire me because they were just like obsessed with their art or whatever you want to call it that they wanted to do. And you know, we all leave this life. It's what you do with it, what you leave behind. And I wanted to leave a mark, and you know.
Yeah, I don't think you could.
50 years time, people will still know who Dorian Yates is and what he did. So
I don't think you could have created that physique without your mentality.
no, I went from a little gym in Birmingham, not exactly the hotbed of bodybuilding anywhere in the world, and there, at that time, bodybuilding was really very much a US-based sport. You know, other countries like England and all that, they got no bodybuilders, they're no good out there. You know, that was now it's much more international. You got a lot of guys from the Middle East and more guys from Europe competing. But then it was like, nah, you can't go to America and beat the Americans. Like, why not? They're not aliens, they're humans, you know, and they're 2 arms, 2 legs, they lift weights like me. So, yeah, I can be, and not only I can, I'm going to do it, yeah. But it was not a lot of people really believing that could happen, apart from me in the beginning. Of course, when you start to get success, everyone jumps on your train then, you know?
Yeah.
Can I be cheeky and just ask for one more poster, please, for a friend who wasn't able to make it down?
Sure, what's his name?
Pete.
Pete?
Yeah, I've got to make a
Or
note.
someone on the Instagram Live is picturing you on the toilet with dumbbells now.
I've got a whole dumbbell rack in the toilet, yeah. Of course, mate, yeah.
Oh, you got a question over there, very good question. Someone to grip onto and he's pushing it.
Is the HIIT training method safe for a beginner lifter that's under 16? Yes, absolutely. The principles apply to everybody. But if you're under 16, then I would avoid any exercises that put downward pressure on the spine, as your bones are not fully fused yet and they're quite soft. So you don't want to be heavy squats and things like that. Maybe heavy calf raises that are compressing the spine. Apart from that, no problem.
Awesome, mate. Thank you. Pleasure to
All right,
meet you.
Pete. Cool, mate.
And look after yourself.
See you,
Thank
mate.
very much.
I know.
You gonna go again?
I've asked a lot, but hey, well,
Somebody's got it. The girls got more bollocks than the guys.
I was going to ask, you got into your spirituality side quite a bit later on in life. I'm sure, because I'm into that myself, and I find that because I'm at full speed most of the time, and then I need something to.
Yeah.
How do you wish you found that when you was doing bodybuilding, and how did you come across the spiritual side?
Well, I think there's anyway a spiritual aspect to training, whether you want to recognise it or not, and I knew there was, because I would go into a different zone, a different space when I was training, and I was like couldn't hear anything, couldn't see anything. I was like in a bubble. It happened to me when I was a kid the first time, and I was like, what's this then? My school had this thing, they wanted to buy a minibus, and they had no money or whatever, so we do a sponsored run, like the kids from the school do a sponsored run around the 400-meter track, and you got your little paperwork, and you go around knocking on doors, and will you sponsor me to run around the track? Oh yeah, 1 pence a lap, 2 pence a lap, 5 pence a lap, whatever it was, and so we had this thing, a sponsored run, and I remember one of the kids in my class, we're always going back and forth, like, I'm a better runner than you, and blah, 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 I can run better than you. And he was lighter than me. He was from a family of boxers, and they're all running every day. I wasn't, but I would set a big mouth. I'll run more than you. So we had the run, and then, after a couple of laps, most kids are dropping out. Got to 13 laps around the track. There's just me and this other guy, and I'm feeling tired. I'm not going to give up though, because give it that, I've got to keep going, got to keep going, got to keep going. And he's probably thinking the same, but at some point he's just like, give up, around 15 laps or something. And I kept going and I kept going, and then I remember, like, I got to a point where I couldn't even feel anything. It was like I was floating. And I actually went around the track 45 times, which is basically like half a marathon, And the teacher was like, Yates, I'm going home, I've got to go home now. You're going to have to stop. So that's the only reason I stopped. And then I went round all these houses, like, to collect the money. And they're thinking, 2, 3 or 4 laps, it won't cost me that much. And I'm going, signed by the teacher, 45 laps? What? I've got to pay out like X amount of money now. Like, they couldn't believe it. I said, well, you can call the school if you want, it's all signed and everything,
So you transported to just another level.
Yeah, it was like the pain barrier or whatever you want to call it, I don't know, was in a different space, and I couldn't feel anything, couldn't hear anything. It was just...
That's a zen-like state.
So, I got this when I was young, and when I used to go to the gym, I used to be in that state. Even now, even if I'm training people, I'm not even training, I'm just coaching people in the gym. It's like people are like, I'm trying to get your attention, and it's like you're in a different world, I can't contact you. I'm like, no mate, I've got my guys, and I put them in a bubble of energy, and we're doing our thing, and nothing else exists, and I'm like, got your attention. So there's always been a spiritual aspect to it, but I got more and more interested in through various things that happened in my life, and I started reading and researching, and a lot of things happened. I tried psychedelics, done meditation, and it's an important part of my life now. I'm here, but I'm there. I'm here, but I'm there. I'm both. Take care of both places. So I meditate pretty much every day, at least once, and I do some deep breathing work as well. Wim Hof breathing.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, I'm speaking to Wim Hof and his people now. They're going to do a movie or some series of movies with Wim Hof, and they're interested to have me involved. So that might be interesting. See how that develops. Because he's an outstanding guy. I mean, he found out some stuff. He's pushed the physical barriers, and his methods have been, they've been checked in the hospital by doctors that hooked him up, and they see what's going on. So it's very interesting, the potential of the human body and the mind, and how we can hack into it, basically.
You do the ice baths?
Yeah, I've done ice baths. Not every day, but I've done a few of them, and I do cold shower every morning as well. I live in Spain. I jump in the sea. It's a bit cold as well sometimes.
Is there any books in particular that got you into spirituality, like Steve Jobs said, or yogi? I don't know what.
No, I read a lot of stuff. I find Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza is very interesting. Well, a lot of stuff, and YouTube videos and things, and then I try it myself, and I've worked with a few different people in person as well, with the psychedelics, with yoga, with meditation. So I'm always trying to learn something. I'm like a sponge. And if I get interested in a subject, I'll try to learn everything about it, and then I might feel like I've learned everything, and then I'll move on to something else. So I'm kind of a bit obsessive like that. Probably that's why I was good at bodybuilding, because I had to learn about the nutrition, the training, everything, just from books and magazines and practical application, and then keeping records. So I got every record, every workout for 12 years written down, every single one, weights, everything. So it's like analysing. If I write a diet down, if I change this, change that, use this supplement, change that, does it work? What happens? Good or bad? And you know, over a time you get kind of refine the process.
Yeah, you need to see progression. If you don't see progression, you're
Yeah, if you change something in your diet, or you know, try some creatine. Try some creatine. Try it for a month. See what happens. Did you get stronger? Did you put on a couple of pounds? Did you feel better? Whatever. Yeah. Good. It worked. Keep it. If it didn't work, dump it. Try something else.
There's been another question actually. Somebody's asked, how involved are you in the? We're obviously in a supplement store here, and there's a whole rack.
Yes,
Supplements.
DY Nutrition is my company. I'm a major shareholder in the company, and I'm involved in a lot of aspects, but mainly development of products and you know, the marketing side. And I've got a whole team that we've like built over the last few years now. It's a whole new company, where before it was just me and a couple other people. Small company. Now we've got more and more people involved, and developing more products and research and everything. So I'm really happy with the way it's going right now. But yeah, DY Nutrition is me. It's not like there's a company called DY Nutrition and they pay me to say, hey, this is good. No, it's me, and I'm not putting my name on something if I don't like it, I don't believe in it. So that's very important.
What do you think of UK bodybuilders at the minute, like James Hollenhead, Nathan Diasha? I think we've got some good bodybuilders on a high level.
Yeah, I've got some good bodybuilders. Don't know all of them, but James is impressive. I spoke to James a little bit and invited him to come and train with me when he's in Europe. I think he's in the States now, but when he is in Europe, at some point we'll probably get together and do some training. So yeah, he's very good. Nathan's good. So for a small country, we got some good bodybuilders. No Mr. Olympia's yet.
No, I think James's method of training is very similar to you. He trains very heavy and
looks like it. I've seen a little bit.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see the top and see if there's something I can teach him that he doesn't know.
Good. Anyone else?
We're good.
Good.